If you've ever taken a literature class, you've probably heard someone mention Freud or Lacan in passing. But what exactly do their theories have to do with literature? And why do literary scholars keep turning to psychoanalysis to interpret texts? Today, we're going to delve into the theoretical depths, starting with Freud's foundational ideas, moving on to Lacan's linguistic reinterpretations, and finally examining how these ideas continue to influence literary criticism. Sigmund Freud's contribution to psychoanalysis fundamentally altered how we understand human subjectivity and behavior. Central to his theory is the unconscious, reservoir of unrepressed desires, instincts, and traumatic memories. Freud's tripartite model of the psyche, the id, the ego, and the superego, frames human behavior as a negotiation between primal urges and social constraints. The id represents the reservoir of unchecked desires, the superego functions as the internalized moral authority, and the ego serves as the mediator between the two. Freud's theories revolutionized literary criticism by offering a method to analyze texts beyond their surface meaning. His concept of the Oedipus complex, derived from Sophocles' tragedy, suggests that characters may be driven by subconscious familial rivalries and desires. For example, Freud interpreted Hamlet's hesitation to kill Claudius as a form of repressed identification with his stepfather, an example of the unresolved Oedipal struggle. Beyond character motivation, Freud's concept of the return of the repressed helps us understand recurring motives in literature, manifestations of unconscious anxieties appearing through dreamlike imagery, uncanny encounters, or symbolic displacements. The significance of these repressed elements is particularly evident in Gothic literature, where the supernatural often embodies unresolved psychic conflicts. Jacques Lacan, a French psychoanalyst, extended and reinterpreted Freud's theories by emphasizing the role of language and desire in subject formation. Lacan's mirror stage describes a crucial stage of development when an infant first identifies with its own reflected image. This misrecognition lays the foundation for an individual's ego, but also initiates a fundamental alienation between the self and its projected identity. The mirror stage is crucial to literary analysis because it helps explain how characters navigate fragmented identities. Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray exemplifies this process. Dorian fixates on an external representation of himself, believing that his portrait captures his true essence, while his actual self undergoes moral and physical decay. Lacan's most significant contribution to literary theory, however, is his concept of the symbolic order, the domain of language, law, and social structures. Lacan argued that once we enter the symbolic, we are irreversibly distanced from our raw, unmediated desires. His famous dictum, "The unconscious is structured like a language," suggests that our deepest drives are articulated through the signifying chains of language. Lacanian psychoanalysis offers a way to understand literature as a system of linguistic signifiers that produce meaning through gaps and absences. This is evident in Frankenstein, where the creature's struggle to articulate his experience reflects his exclusion from the symbolic order. His inability to be recognized as a subject with agency mirrors Lacan's notion that entry into language always entails a loss of primal wholeness. So why do literary scholars continue to turn to Freud and Lacan? Because their theories provide a rigorous framework for unpacking not only character psychology, but also the deeper mechanisms of literary representation. Freud allows us to interrogate repressed desires and anxieties, while Lacan enables us to analyze linguistic structures that shape subjectivity. Whether you're examining the disjunction between desire and speech in Jane Eyre, the fragmentation of identity in Beloved, or the absurdist breakdown of signification in Waiting for Godot, psychoanalytic criticism offers a profound method for reading literature as a site of psychic and linguistic negotiation. Of course, Freud and Lacan are not without their critics, and contemporary psychoanalytic theory continues to evolve. But their influence on literary studies remains undeniable. If you're interested in further exploring these concepts, consider reading Freud's The Interpretation of Dreams or Lacan's Écrit. Thank you for watching.